Hi, this is Chris of Wilson Wildlife Sculpture. I'm real excited about this project, which I'm going to demonstrate and recarve in this video. It's an emerging barn swallow, and I'm going to attempt to blend hyperrealism, impressionism, and abstraction into one sculpture. I'm going to demonstrate both hand and power tool carving, specifically with the NSK America's Espert 500. It's by Nakanishi. I've been using their unit since the 1980s, and they have lasted the test of time, and I can rough out pieces with this hand piece and fine-tune with other hand pieces. I've got a few other hand pieces I'm going to show for fine sanding. I'm going to show you how I recarved this piece, in fact the back of the work. If you watch my other videos, I showed how here's the base. It's actually over 2 feet tall, which I'll show in a little bit. My other videos show how I finish found wood. Now this piece it comes from the cottonwood tree. It's actually the bark of the tree, and I have the swallow emerging from it. It's very complicated to do, but my emerging pieces are very popular. I've had over 57 million views on just one piece, my emerging quail, on Instagram. I'm relatively new to YouTube, so I really appreciate your support. So if you find value in these videos, please consider subscribing and liking and commenting on my videos and work. I appreciate your support, and I could use the suggestions for improving my videos as I'm learning how to use the technology. So I really appreciate that. And again, I'm at Wilson Wildlife Sculpture. And I've been carving for over 40 years, mainly with power tools, but I have a lot of hand tool experience. I have an undergraduate degree and a master's degree in sculpture, and I was a shop tech, so I preach safety. You can see I've got my safety glove on here. And if you're not a power tool carver, that's okay. I will demonstrate with hand tools, which I've shown before. My favorite tools are, for hand tools, are flex cut. They stay very sharp just by honing them on leather. And when you buy the tools, they come with a rouge, which is really nice. And you get a piece of leather. You can buy the strops and then use the rouge and then hone the knife against it to get it super sharp. So yeah, you can carve very easily the cottonwood bark, and a lot of people just leave it carved that way. So I am going to show you how easily it carves with a little stop cut. Okay, it's pretty easy, but I am going to do some more advanced carving with power tools. So I can show you how to get texture, form, contrast, because I want this bird on this. I decided to make the piece in the round. Basically, it was on the wall, okay? And I had this in a museum exhibit. It was an exhibit a few years ago called 3 Billion, which talked about the decline of birds in North America. Basically, there's 3 billion fewer birds in just my lifetime. That's the last 50 years. And barn swallows, some reports show up to 95% population decline. So that's very alarming, because I've seen tons of these birds growing up. They're common under bridges and old buildings. But due to loss of habitat, pesticides, I mean, people even hunt the birds for the feathers and used to put them in their hats. So that's, very disappointing. So my concept is that of conservation, and also that of a bird emerging or escaping from the material that's carved from, a la Michelangelo. And Michelangelo has work that like his Bound Slaves, where the subject matter is contained to the stone or marble and struggling to free itself from the monolithic form. So I say hyperrealism, that is the details of the bird. This is a lot of fine carving. I have to know the measurements of the birds, the coloration. It's best to study a live bird or a fresh specimen. I just work from photographs, but I have extensive knowledge of birds, having an aviary in the past, being a license, having a license for that, a federal migratory license to keep birds. I've also handled a lot of songbirds and volunteered. back to the style of the piece, you can see it blends. You can see my tool marks actually here. These were just done with a gouge, another flex cut gouge like this, and you can see the direction. It gives movement to the piece, emphasizing the bird flying in that direction and complementing the wings. I went back and sanded the strokes because I like really good craftsmanship, and you can see that the wood is burnished and polished. So that's very important to me. But you can carve with hand tools if you like. Carving professionally for the past 30 years, I find that hand tools are a little slower than power tools. Maybe for bark you can carve hand tools pretty fast, and yeah, I could as well. But I prefer a level of detail that I can achieve in power tools. So this is the NSK America's Espert 500. Let me back up and show you some of my other tools, because I've been using a lot of different high-speed microgrinders over the years, and I started with the NSK's Emax, which is there. Okay, you can also see I have Guess Wine, I've got a Ram products, I've got Fordham's, Pfingst, a lot of different flexible shaft grinders and microgrinders, but my favorite is the NSK America because it doesn't heat up and get hot after hours of use. It doesn't cause wrist problems, which is very important carving full time. A lot of people say, why don't you just use a Fordham? Fordhams work great, but they're cumbersome. And look how streamlined this is. I've got a speed reducer on this handpiece, which gives me more power or torque, and it will handle large pieces. And that's the first thing I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to demonstrate this unit. Then I'll demonstrate this handpiece. It's very easy to take the units out. Okay, you can use a lever switch like this. I also have got other sanders and other little attachments that I'll use to add texture, which I'm going to demonstrate. So the longer you stick with me, the more tools you have, the more tips that I'm going to show you, more tools I'll show you as well. So again, you can get this through NSK America, and they are represented in a few fine woodworking stores. You can find them online or go to NSK America. I think I bought mine through the James Company many years ago, but there are several other places. So I'm going to demonstrate here. Let me show you the whole piece. I demonstrated this actually in another video. There is, more of my micro units, grinders. There's the base. I demonstrated staining it because it was too brown. It was actually white oak, which I wanted red. And so I did a pretty advanced finish where I stained and oiled it at once, and it worked out wonderfully. And it's going to complement the bird much better, having that reddish hue rather than just all blondish like white oak. So let's get to carving the form, and I do recommend wearing glasses and a safety glove. This is Kevlar for hand carving, but most of the time I just use a regular leather glove, as well as safety glasses are always good to have. I also wear a mask, but I'm working in my dust collector right now so that the fumes will just go right away. Back to the barn swallow. So it was a wall hanging piece, and I'm still going with the concept of conservation. And I'm going to elevate it and make it freestanding now. It's going to stand over 2 feet tall on this base. It's going to really project a lot of motion and movement and upwards energy, which I am really excited about. This is my emerging series has been really popular, and I just want to do great things with my work. And this side is very flat and boring because it was on the wall. Okay, this is the side of the tree. This is a bark from a tree. I think I got it out in Montana, the cottonwood bark. I bought it through a vendor. And I could, hand carve this, but I'm going to demonstrate faster with the grinder. But I draw with chalk first. And like I said, I want to make it more interesting. Cottonwood has some beautiful grain, and all being flat, you really can't see it that well. So I'm thinking about maybe making on this side like it's emerging from clouds. You see how it's coming out of that bark there? Okay, but I got to be very careful. These are glass eyes, and I don't want to hit those glass eyes. Normally what I would do is protect it, but for the sake of the video, I'm showing the bird so that you can see the process and how I carve the back of it. So let's get to carving here. Thanks for bearing with me. Basically, you push the start button here, and you can control the speed. I'm going to start with like 20 RPM. It goes to 50 RPM. In fact, I'm going to back off a little bit more. I can turn it up. You have forward and reverse. I normally like to work on forward, but reverse works really well in sanding with a fine belt sander, which I'll demonstrate. This has 2 ports for different hand pieces, so I'll use this hand piece next for smoothing out. But after you turn it on there, it has a switch at the hand piece. That switch right there. Okay, so I'm going to turn my dust collection system on and turn that on, and carve with this tungsten carbide cylinder bit, and kind of round this form a little bit with being careful not to hit the swallow. So here we go. There's the dust collector. Put the knife away. Okay, got the unit on. There we go. See how it's not noisy at all. It's very, very smooth. Easily that carves. You really want a mask for this, dust mask or a dust collector. I want to round the back of the form a little bit. Okay, everything's on the same plane. In sculpture, it's much more interesting if you get concave and convex areas rather than just being flat. I learned that in undergrad school where I studied the forms of Henry Moore, very abstract sculptures, negative space, rounded forms. Very important to show dimension and depth in your work. Below that so I can see it. Now I'm going to carve more concave areas here. This bit leaves this is a very fine bit. I believe it's by Sabertooth. It's yellow. Green is medium. Orange is rough. Yellow, occasionally low so I can see my form. Yellow leaves a smooth finish. I don't want to take too much off too soon. So I'm taking my time. Okay, I've got to be careful there because I've got a squared metal that goes in there, so I can't carve there. So I've got to change a little bit, carve up here a little bit. You don't want to hit metal with your tool. But that's how I get my birds in flight. Okay, I use square tubing like this, and that's how I make my pieces so they come apart. If I have a sculpture that's 2 feet tall, it's going to be challenging to move around and shift. And believe this piece really defies gravity. So I'm really excited about it. I'm kind of just bracing my hand, so this feels very safe. Let me show you some different bits here now. I'll have to do more with this, but for the sake of this demonstration. That was the EHG 400. Okay, with the ERG01B speed reducer. Now it says NNK.500T. So you don't want to use this at a really high speed because this is a first of all, the bits aren't rated for that high speed, and second, that unit is more for power. Okay, so here's a speed another hand piece, the ENK 500C. Again, this is Espert 500, and I just got a stump cutter on here. But I can use a higher speed with it. So I'm going to turn it on. Actually, just go to this port, level B, and it should be. Turn it off here. But I will increase the speed. Okay, and I'm going to demonstrate here finer detail, even some texture. Cutter leaves a pretty smooth finish. You can see how the texture looks next to the quail. I'll blow some of that wet. Okay? But I want to round it because I decided to show again this piece freestanding, not on a wall. Okay, so I am just gradually taking the wood out. Racing with my pinky, being very careful not to make a mistake and tip that wing, because I have many hours of fine detail in the wing and the head. Swallows took a lot of time. I do want to remove some wood off and close the swallow, so I'm being very careful, racing my pinky. Actually, a little impatient. I want to use a little bit faster bit. But you can see if I hit the side of the bit, it actually digs in nicely. See that? I'm just occasionally blowing so you can see the swallow, what I'm doing. Usually I work a little bit closer to the dust collector, so I'm working a little bit farther away. That's giving, you know, a very cloud-like texture. I mean, it's impressionistic. I'm gonna have to do something with these holes because I did drill in at hangers. So I will probably fill a little bit of that. I could use sawdust and glue or make a little plug. Again, I'm making a more interesting surface by making it concave and convex. That is much more interesting than flat surface. And also a surface that has texture contrast is interesting. So I'll leave some parts rough and other parts kind of textured like this, other parts I'll smooth and sand. So let me demonstrate that. Turn this off a second. Here. So turn this off so you can hear me a little bit better, and I'll show you how I change the unit out. So next I might use a sander such as this, okay, this angle sander. So this looks like dentist tools, and the reason it looks like that is because dentists do use these tools. I'm going to actually use a different bit here, different handpiece. The first handpiece I used, I think I will use. I'm being very careful with these hand pieces because the hand pieces are very expensive to replace. If they drop, there's going to be damage to the unit. So in replacing a piece like this, you unscrew it. Okay, and I can put another, this is the speed reducer. And I usually like to reduce the speed when I sand. Now you can just use this, which that's fine, but I'm going to demonstrate in this hand piece. This is replaceable sandpaper, which just makes it really nice. I find hand tightening it, this is enough, but they do come supplied with wrenches and all kinds of safety gear. Just gotta make sure I'm putting it in right. Oh, righty-tighty usually is the way, so I don't think I had it lined up here right. So just a matter of getting the threads, and righty-tighty is how it goes. So I will reduce it. I will turn it on this one, this port, A, and turn it down, start off like 10 RPM. And I'm just going to spot sand some of the areas there. I'll show you how this works. Turn it on first here. Actually, let's turn it on right there. Piece. I don't wear a glove when I sand. not, sanding works better in reverse. I'm going to turn it off for 1 second. Back on. And go to reverse speed. So, there we go. Now I can turn it on. Turn up a little bit more. That wasn't doing much in 10. That didn't work because the sandpaper fell off. And that happens sometimes. Make sure it gets in there and stays on. It's just PSA sticky sandpaper. Try that one more time. Maybe I did it too high a speed. Working better. Very careful because I don't want to hit that wing over there. I could just hand sand, but I got another sander to use. This last sander gets tons of comments because this sander is super cool. Turn it off for a second. Yeah, I'm going to take this unit off here. This is the angle sander. It's great for reaching some different areas. I can use all kinds of bits in here, and the angle of it, yeah, it's pretty sweet. It looks like a dentist tool, and yeah, dentists do use these tools because they're state of the art. This is the best microgrinder on the market, in my opinion. So here is the fine belt sander. Okay, you can basically push back and remove the sandpaper. Okay, I mean this is a belt. Okay, see it goes around there, and yeah, it works really well. There's a way to adjust the tension with an Allen wrench. Actually, I demonstrated this in other videos. I'm just going to demonstrate some of this concave sanding here. I'll turn it back on, and again, reverse works really well. You can sand concave areas, you know, hollow areas with this here, and you can sand convex areas, rounded forms that is, with this part. So I'll demonstrate both. I'm going to put it on reverse speed. Okay, I had them reverse, and I'm going to turn it down low and turn the dust collection system back on. So let's give this a shot here. Turn it on. Yeah, it makes very, very fast sanding. It's easy cotton bark. Super cool. That's getting convex areas that are harder to sand out than concave. I'll demonstrate back here because I don't want that belt anywhere close to my burr. This is how you can round form. Get a little smooth here. You can't do it by hand, but the power tools again save me a ton of time, and I'm able to carve full time with them. Get really fast results. I can do it faster than my hand. Better results actually. Polish the wood all the way up to 1,000 grit. So that's the NSK America. The Nakanishi fine micro grinders, and all the different bits and that I showed you there. Thanks for joining me here. Stay tuned to see this piece as I show on its base, freestanding, and how I finish the back of the piece, because it's going to be more interesting when I carve, you know, the back of it and make it yeah, textured and make it a little more interesting than flat. But it was better than it was before. I'm going to have to continue to work on it. I like to draw in chalk. After I carve, I'll draw a little bit more, and that's my next step. I'll draw a little more. This threw me for a loop because I forgot I drilled into there, and so when I started carving and I hit that area, and now you know, I want to show the wood, not my mistakes. So I do have to plug in a few mistakes because I had it hung. Actually, those weren't mistakes. I'm just changing the orientation of the piece. So I think it's going to be a better piece. I'm really excited about it. Stay tuned to see how I put it together and the final result. Thanks very much for hitting that subscribe button and for commenting on the video as well. Have a great day.